The whites. They're a race. They have been for a while now. Some say as far back as the 50s. They've given us many invaluable things. Fanny packs, creamed spinach, socks with sandals. To be fair, brown dads might have a more legitimate claim to that last one. Some of my all-time favorite wars have been started by the whites. The top warmongering spot has got to go to the Japanese, though. I'm sorry. You gave a fantastic fight, but you have to admit, the Japanese always produce quality work. This also includes Cold Wars, such as the invention of hentai, which, as we all know, was the Japanese's way of getting back at the US for Hiroshima and Nagasaki. As the Reverend Louis Farrakhan once said, "I never touched that girl and you can't prove shit." But also, the race war is coming. In an effort to exploit racial tensions for personal gain and also entertainment, why not list all of the Yakubians that I would save when Helter Skelter is finally upon us? If you are unaware of what a Yakubian is, I encourage you to look it up. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. Some of the individuals included on this list were suggestions given to me by the lovely degenerates in the comedy group chat that they were naive enough to invite me to. Starting off with the sexiest man on earth, Jeff Goldblum. The scene of him walking seductively towards a giant pile of dinosaur crap in Jurassic Park honestly convinced me that I was truly a heterosexual. He might be hard to locate once the war begins, because I assume that he spends at least half of his time astral projecting. I just want his long, gentle fingers to caress my skin as he tells me that I'm valid, and that the ringing sensation I hear in my ear is not a tumor that's pressing on my temporal lobe. Betty White. The baddest bitch in the game. Honestly, all of the Golden Girls deserve to be on this list, but they're all eating ass and smoking grass with the angels now. The Education Connection girl. To think of how many people she connected, for free, with Education Connection. Where is her presidential medal for her public service? As a child that grew up without cable for most of my formative years, seeing her commercial was typically the highlight of my week. That sounds very sad now that I say it. This woman was everything that I aspired to be. Nameless, dancing on a green screen, and a guiding light for high school dropouts. Tony Hawk. I didn't want the jocks to feel left out, okay? He's the only athlete that I respect, besides Tanya Harding, of course. I don't care what anyone says. Perhaps Nancy Kerrigan's knee just collapsed in on itself. I'm a Kerrigan truther, even if she did deliberately sabotage her. So what? Frankly, every citizen should be allowed at least one knee-bashing excursion free of any legal repercussions. This was actually in the original copy of the Bill of Rights, but George Washington removed it because he's a chode. Anyway, at least Mr. Hawk can still do his cute little skateboard thingies in the craters created by the missile strikes. Dr. Doofenshmirtz. A brilliant scientist, a caring single father, a survivor of child abuse, and an inspiration to immigrants and evil inventors alike. The tri-state area didn't deserve his brilliance. I might also save Perry the Platypus because, frankly, I don't believe in separating couples. I'm sure that Betty White can provide them with some prep. Danny DeVito. A spherical god if there ever was one. One of the only people in Hollywood that I trust, not only with my own life, but also that of my son's. And by son, I do mean this framed photo of a hamster that I keep on my nightstand. I place it there so that when I wake up from my glue-sniffing-induced nightmares, I'm reminded that there's still beauty in the world. I just want him to give me a thumbs up and tell me that he's proud of me. Is that too much to ask? Pre-racist rant Kramer. For any of you that have not been keeping up with the cast of Seinfeld, Michael Richards, the actor who played Kramer, went on a pretty infamous racist rant at the Laugh Factory back in 2006.
Sit down with a fucking fork up your ass! You can talk, you brave now, motherfucker! Roll his ass out, he's a nigger! He's a nigger! He's a nigger!
Oh my god.
A nigger! Look, there's a nigger! Ooh! Ooh!
Yikes. Well, I'm saving 90s Kramer. This man is the embodiment of crackhead energy, and God bless him for it. The corpse of Joan Rivers. I don't care that she died in 2014. I'll string that woman up like a human marionette puppet. Shoulder pads included. I want the next generation to be reminded of the great feminist icons that came before them, like Aunt Jemima, the ugly stepsister from Shrek, and of course, the velociraptors from Jurassic Park. The Geico Gecko. You might be thinking, the Geico Gecko isn't white. He's a gecko. He's outside the boundaries of race, like The Rock. But you look into his dark, soulless eyes and tell me that you don't see an imperial bloodlust. I do not hold any allegiance to any insurance company. However, I'm saving him exclusively because if we ever need someone small enough to crawl through the vents or up the trousers of any enemy that might be wandering onto our territory, he's gonna be our guy. Miranda Cosgrove. Sweet Mother Cosgrove did not throw the first brick at Stonewall so that all you little twinks could call her Michael Jackson on Twitter. I'm sick and tired of all you little taints mercilessly mocking her. As a scheming child, Megan was a lifeline for me. Finally, conniving little girls were given the representation that we deserved. Don't worry, I will occasionally make her say hee as she gently caresses our legs suspiciously underneath a blanket, just to keep the spirit of the King of Pop alive. Bernie Sanders, R.I.P., I assume. He's not dead at the moment that I'm recording this, but I'm not exactly sure when I'm going to post this video, so I just want to make sure that my condolences are out of the way. Even if he's not dead, his campaign certainly is. So I guess we're either going to have 4 more years of President Carpe Volvum or Handsy Uncle Joe. Daddy Sanders gave it the good old college try, in the sense that he dropped out. Salute to you, comrade. The whole state of California is promising to pour out an entire Pabst Blue Ribbon in honor of you. Flo from Progressive. I honestly feared that if I didn't include her on this list, she would hunt me down and whack me to death with her I Heart Insurance button as she screamed, "Where's the Geico Gecko now, bitch?" The Morton Salt Umbrella Girl. What can I say? I'm a slut for some sodium. Some would debate whether or not this girl would even be considered white, but frankly, she's frolicking around what is clearly an acid rainstorm, and that sounds pretty Caucasian to me. The contributions that she's made to my daily meals will not be overlooked. That's why I'm smuggling her tiny, undefined ass to safety. Quentin Tarantino. I'm trying to keep foot fetishes alive in the hellscape that will ensue after the war, and Mr. Cappuccino is the man for the job. Plus, in the absence of Xbox Live, what's gonna happen when my fellow black gamers start to miss the experience of being called the N-word by a 12-year-old asthmatic kid from Cincinnati who's on the verge of getting type 2 diabetes? Well, no worries, because my man, Quarantine Tostito, will make sure that you experience that gut-punching sensation that will make you think, goddamn, Obama really didn't change shit. The Barefoot Contessa, also known as Ina Gartner. I am more terrified of this woman than I am of most active gang members. And the off chance that the Nation of Islam finds out what I'm doing and begins hunting me for sport as a result of me being a race traitor, then I'm gonna need an iron lady to protect me. And I simply do not trust Flo enough to give her this position. John Mulaney. It's safe to say that stand-up comedy is not really going to be thriving during the race war, but we're still going to need entertainment in the bunkers, especially in the case that Jeff Goldblum exhausts himself after rambling incoherently for 3 hours. And frankly, I don't know how many renditions of Lady Marmalade I have in me. Mulaney has got that 1950s milkman energy, just a beacon of non-threatening masculinity. I want to keep that around. Claire from the Bon Appetit Test Kitchen. I just want to wrap her up in a blanket. You know, I say all this about a woman who's 15 years my senior. It doesn't matter that there's an active war raging outside. We're going to need gourmet homemade Oreos to nibble on. The Geico Gecko can hoover up the crumbs when we're done. Waluigi, the original skinny legend. Mario and Luigi can choke for all I care. He's long, he's lean, he's Italian. That's a spicy white. I'm extending a lending hand to my Mediterranean brothers and sisters because, frankly, the world has not fully paid you back for blessing us with pasta and olive oil. Michael Cera, my favorite milky boy. I appreciate anyone that looks perpetually uncomfortable. Truly a gentle whisper of a man. Don't worry, Michael. I won't let anyone harm you. Mainly because he also fulfills the Canadian quota. This random lady.
I politely say, "Hey, can I have a McRib meal? Large size with the Dr. Pepper." And the lady said, "Well, okay, that'd be $6.58. I said, "Ain't you forgetting something, ma'am?" And she said, "Well, what?" I said, "You're supposed to offer me the extra McRib for $1 when you buy the McRib meal." You ain't gonna believe it. She looked me up and down. And she said, "Well, it don't look like you need the extra McRib." "Excuse me, bitch?
I want to keep white trash well and alive for upcoming generations. White trash has been and will always be a vital part that makes up the fabric of the United States. And frankly, I don't want to live in a society where a woman in a horrible wig can't openly express her contempt for a minimum wage worker and then post it online. Guy Fieri. I mentioned him in my previous video where I listed all of mankind's greatest achievements, so of course I'm gonna throw this guy a lifeboat. Unfortunately, in the absence of hair gel and dye, his frosted tips are going to begin fading away. And God knows he's gonna need support when his primary source of power begins to drain. Keanu Reeves. Technically, he is not fully white, but when the racial lines are drawn, I have no doubt that the whites are gonna snatch your boy Keanu up. He's our only hope of restoring peace back to the charred earth, so you bet your ass I'm gonna save him. Joe Biden's veneers. At this point, I'm just listing things that are white. Let's hope that one day they'll eventually gain consciousness and will start steering him to make better decisions. And by that, I mean smoking crack with his son Hunter in the Oval Office. That way, he'll finally be cool. And finally, the Kardashians. Hear me out. I want to save them so that I can personally execute them. I'll leave the kids out of it because I'm not a complete monster. They will technically be orphaned, but hey, their nannies can take them in. Just look at how many adoptees have had incredibly successful careers. Ted Bundy, Eileen Wuornos, the Boston Strangler, all of whom made a name for themselves. So not all hope is lost. Thank you for watching this video. Frankly, I'm shocked that any of you have made it this far. Make sure to spay and neuter your pets and neighbors, and remember, every time you diddle your fiddle during quarantine, an angel dies. So make sure to do it twice as much now.